Today on America's Court with Judge Ross.
How do you know that there are people that she's actually exchanging dollars for them to be sat by her?
Well, I would assume so, considering they're there all day.
You know what happens when you assume. In my courtroom, it's about equity and fairness. You want him to pay $628.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, knock my socks off. Justice should be more than just some foreign concept. I actually want you to learn something. The law talks about something may in fact be true, but can they prove it? And that's what's tough.
Fair, firm, compassionate. This is America's Court with Judge Ross. Cindy Ray claims her neighbor has become a nuisance and is affecting her home-based business. She's suing Linda Moraine in the amount of $14,820. Ms. Moraine claims the plaintiff is just jealous and wants to cause trouble.
All rise. Remain standing and come to order. This court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Kevin Ross presiding.
Ladies and gentlemen, you may be seated.
All parties been sworn, Your Honor.
Third, get up at its office. Let's talk about this case. You are not happy over a nuisance.
Yes.
And why do you feel Ms. Moraine is causing a nuisance?
Because she said she was building a playhouse in her backyard for her children. It's more like a play mansion. A person could actually live in it. And she's been homeschooling her children and some other children in the community in her backyard. It's extremely noisy, not to mention the construction that began was extremely noisy, causing my business.
When we're talking about nuisance, what are we talking about that's the nuisance? The actual structure, the noise, all of the above?
All of the above, Your Honor.
Because at some point, the construction concluded.
Yes, it did.
All right. How many children do you have, ma'am?
I have 4, sir.
You have 4. Their ages?
2, 6, 8, and 10.
All right. A lot of energy.
Yes.
And in addition to the 4 boys, do other children come to the house?
I have 2 that I babysit occasionally, yes.
Okay. So you got 6 little ones under the age of 10, give or take? All right. I can see why that would be a lot of noise. How long have you lived at the property?
6 months.
And who lived there prior, Miss Ray?
An elderly couple. Yeah. Which was nice and quiet, but they moved away.
Okay. You loved them.
I did love them.
I can imagine.
The wife was actually my client, so I do miss her.
Your client, because you do hair, right?
Yes.
And now let's talk about how the properties line up. Are you one's in front, one's in back? Are you to the side of each other? How does
It's
it work?
essentially an L shape. She's on one street. My house is right behind her, so our backyards are right next to each other.
They're perpendicular.
Perpendicular, yes.
All right. When was the first time you had any contact with Miss Ray?
During the construction, she came over and...
What was being constructed?
The backyard playground.
All right. It
So we
wasn't
just
an
redid
actual structure.
We just redid the backyard for the kids, and we put up a playhouse for them with a playground.
Okay. So that's what you were talking about, Miss Ray, when you said a play mansion.
It's not just a playhouse.
Okay. What does it consist of?
It looks like a miniature house, essentially. It's big enough for a person to actually live in.
Well, little person.
I'm thinking when you say playhouse, meaning that there's a slide, swings.
There is a slide and swings.
Things like that. Is that what we're talking
And
about?
it's a little 2-story playhouse for them to go in and hang out inside, which I would think would
And was
dampen
this
some of the
something
noise.
pre-built, or was this something you built specifically for them?
We erected this on our property.
All right. And you have a business during the day.
Yes, sir.
Do you have children?
I do not.
Okay. And let's talk about your business. How long have you been conducting it?
6 years.
6 years. And you are someone who does hair at your residence.
Yes.
And that's causing problems for you because?
Because she's essentially holding a homeschooling program in her backyard. She says that she's not, but she is, because they're out there all hours of the day. I work from 8 a.m. to about 2 p.m. in the afternoon.
Yes.
And a lot of my clientele is older, and they can't stand the noise. It's too much for them. The children will come onto my property. They've thrown rocks at my trailer.
It's the first time I'm hearing of this.
That's not the first time she's hearing of it, Your Honor.
That's the first time I'm hearing about it, and I read the complaint. So let me stop and take a look. I don't recall you saying anything about rocks. What I recall you saying is that you have elderly women that you perform these hair services, perms and washes and so forth.
Yes.
And it's just the noise from these rambunctious boys.
It is the noise, yes, Your Honor. But they also, as my
And
clients
you
are
complained
leaving,
about, you think she's running a babysitting
Yes.
business. And between those, but if she has 4, and just for them to have playmates over, that's going to be noisy.
yes, she's saying that she has a couple other kids come over. I've seen more than that in her backyard, and it's not. It'd be
Do
one
you
thing
know
if it was just
they're
an hour.
cousins?
No, I do not.
Schoolmates?
I
How
do
do you
not.
know that there are people that she's actually exchanging dollars for them to be sat by her?
Well, I would assume so, considering they're there all
You know
day.
what happens when you assume.
Coming up on America's Court,
She is running it like a school. She rings a school bell to alert them for lunch, to alert them for recess. It's like a little house on the prairie. I'm not even joking.
and later,
Because of the special abilities of my son, he took the program to another place.
Is that true? Did he take it to another level in terms of what was
He
taking
sure
place?
did, yes, he did.
closed captioning provided by. If you'll be in the Los Angeles area and want to bring your case to court, call 1-888-552-6878. This is America's Court with Judge Ross. America's Court is back with the case of Cindy Ray, who is suing Linda Moraine for $14,820.
You want to say that these kids making a noise constitutes a private nuisance.
Yes, Your Honor, but it's not just the noise, because she is running it like a school. She rings a school bell to alert them for lunch, to alert them for recess. It's like a little house on the prairie. I'm not even joking. It's a handbell.
Well,
like,
you are in Tennessee, right?
Yes, Your Honor, but that's television, okay? That's not real life.
All right, see, I'm quick like that. You know? All right. And what's with the bell?
I ring the bell to bring them in for lunch and to let them out of recess. So twice a day.
And otherwise, they're inside doing their work.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Didn't you say
Until
that you
school's
teach them
out.
outside, though? They're coming onto my property, causing a ruckus during my work hours, and that's how I make my living, is on my business, on my property, and her children are there.
You said she runs it like a school,
Yes.
and meaning that she seems very hands-on to me. Did you ever go to her and say, I'm having issues with your
Yes.
children coming onto my property?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is that true?
Yeah, she said that she had some issues. She didn't say anything about rocks or anything like that, anything
But she had
specific.
issues with the kids coming under her property.
Yes, sir, they cross her property occasionally as a shortcut to get to the creek in the back.
Okay. That's a problem because that's her property. And she's conducting a business. And if she's telling you, and you conducted the business there, you said, for 6 years,
6
right?
years.
Now, is it inside your home? Is that how it works with the hair salon?
It's a trailer that's right outside of my home. My father gave as a wedding present, so I made it into a parlor.
You have a detached trailer.
Yes, Your Honor.
And when they walk in there, they're hearing the noise because it's so close to her
Yes.
property.
Yes.
All right. And when the children have come onto your property, that's where you're saying that rocks have been thrown, they make a lot of noise, and what else?
Well, as I told you, I have a lot of elderly clients. When they're leaving, the children think it's fun to pop out from behind the trees, scare my clients. A lot of them have walkers. I know it sounds ridiculous, but it's
It
true.
does not sound ridiculous because you're talking about boys. That's why, if you have sons, you try to get them in things like football and soccer,
Yes.
wear them out. So when they get home, they're just out, right? Because they have all this energy.
And I'm not taking it out on the children. It's the supervision that I have a problem with that's not being dealt with.
Okay.
I just feel like it's a residential neighborhood. I ought to feel comfortable having my kids go outside and play, and she's running her business out of the back. I mean, she could take it into town.
As she was talking, and then when she paused for a moment, you went, like, this so-and-so is getting on my nerves.
I mean, I feel like I'm
And
being
you
harassed.
are someone who has come into this neighborhood. I know the boys are loud. You know the boys are loud. And you know if they're not your boys, it's not so adorable. Here's the problem with this. When people talk about public nuisances, they're talking about smells and sounds that are so unreasonable or pollutants. And so it's affecting their breathing or their ability to function in terms of if someone's constantly walking around naked. And it's like, I don't want to see that. Those are the sorts of things that you can look at objectively and say, okay, we got to find a remedy. Here, I've got someone that has built something that has been sanctioned by the government officials So you can't get her there. I don't have any proof that it's all these kids. She said that there's 2. You said that there's more, but I don't have any. It's not like I have pictures. I don't have video of what does it actually look like. All I know is you're annoyed by the sound of these kids.
It's not me, Your Honor. It's my clients.
I understand that.
And I need to make a living. I can't make a living
I understand that.
if I have this next door to me.
They're not moving.
No, I realize that.
We
But if
bought
there
the
was a way
house.
to control the noise, I would appreciate it.
It's going to be really difficult to control the noise with 4 boys. Based on the evidence and testimony before this court, the gavel has to come down in favor of the defendants in this case. At the same time, you're impacting this woman's livelihood. That cannot be a lesson that you want to teach your kids.
No.
If anything, I'm thinking you're teaching your kids the importance of being a good neighbor, of having compassion, of trying to work things out with another adult. Because when those boys are fighting and you got to give them a timeout, you're like, okay, we got to learn how to play together here, right?
Yes, sir.
You're not leading by example.
I just felt everything's been so crazy since we moved in. It's only been 6 months. The construction, we've been homeschooling. We're brand new in
So
town.
now you know that this is something that you need to work on.
Yes, sir.
And maybe there's coordinating of times, that maybe they stay in more and so forth. Because you're done by, what, 2 o'clock, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
So maybe from 2 o'clock on, let them run around and hit each other and chase each other and do all that stuff. But maybe earlier in the day, you can be a little bit more chill.
Sure.
Okay?
Yes, sir.
Your matter's dismissed. Case closed.
All rise.
Judge Ross has ruled in favor of the defendant. The plaintiff's claim is dismissed.
I think I was so busy getting settled into my new home that I didn't realize the level of the issue with my neighbor. I will definitely be more conscientious of it now.
I'm sorry that I had to bring my neighbor to court, but hopefully now she'll be more considerate about the noise and my business.
And coming up on America's Court with Judge Ross.
Because of the special abilities of my son, he took the program to another place.
Is that true? Did he take it to another level in terms of what was
He
taking
sure
place?
did, yes he did.
Closed captioning provided by. This is America's Court with Judge Ross. Robin Little claims her son's intellectual property was used without her permission. Ms. Little is suing John Steele in the amount of $10,000. Mr. Steele claims the program was created as work product, and therefore he doesn't owe the plaintiff anything.
So your son is quite the whiz kid, huh?
Yes, I know every mom brags about his little son, but I do believe he could be the next Bill Gates. He's doing great computer work at a very young age.
How old is he?
He's 9 years old.
That is young. And what's his name?
Robert.
And Robert has this ability to come up with these apps or something from what I read in the complaint?
Yes, around the age of 5, he was like, I want to have a computer and I want to do this. So as I already sensed this about him, I kind of like tried to get it. I'm a nurse. I don't have that much funds, but his uncle got him a really great computer. Mm-hmm. And from that day on, he was just on it. And
how did you end up meeting Mr. Steele?
I was looking for an after-school program, mm-hmm. and somebody told me about this place where they have these programs for kids with special abilities in computer programming, and it was very convenient, just 30 minutes from my house.
And Mr. Steele, talk to me about the program.
So the name of our program is called Precocious Gaming. And
Precocious Gaming?
Yes.
What ages are we talking about?
So it's ages from 9 to 15.
Okay.
And they are children with exemplary skills in computer programming and
Would
coding.
you co-sign on what Ms. Little said in terms of Robert's abilities?
Oh, yes, very much so. Robert has exemplary skills, if not even advanced than college-level students in terms of coding, such as HTML, C++, all of that, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what is it exactly that he has been working on since he's been with your gaming
So we have been developing an app that can actually help the mind work a bit faster cognitively, like a gaming app. And Robert just seemed to be the perfect part for it to help us kind of push that forward.
Coming up on America's Court.
Because of the special abilities of my son, he took the program to another place.
Is that true? Did he take it to another level in terms of what was
He
taking
sure
place?
did, yes he did.
Closed captioning provided by. This is America's Court with Judge Ross. America's Court is back with the case of Robin Little, who is suing John Steele for $10,000.
What were you going to do with this device, this app because you're obviously using Robert's intellect
Yes.
to create a product.
Yes.
What were you going to do with that product?
Well, since we are state funded and
Yes.
a nonprofit, all of the money that we would get from it would just go back into the program, basically.
Then you were planning on monetizing this.
Yes.
All right. You were going to monetize the work that was done by the students.
Mm-hmm.
Was that the understanding that all the parents were made aware of in being involved in this program?
Yes. Yes.
Was there a cost involved in the program?
No, the program is completely free.
All right. You're suing them because?
Well, I would like to add what Mr. Steele just said when he said we had an understanding of that. It's a program for kids after school. And clearly my son brought so much to the table that at the end, or after 3 months, there was this app. Because of the special abilities of my son, he took the program to another place.
Is that true? Did he take it to another level in terms of what was
He
taking
sure
place?
did. Yes, he did.
All right.
And
you're saying at this point, show me the money.
well, here's how I found out
That's
about
what you're
it.
saying.
Yeah.
You're saying, show me the money.
Judge Ross's verdict when America's Court returns. You're watching America's Court with Judge Ross. This is America's Court with Judge Ross.
If he doesn't pay you the money, which is why you're suing, and he never entered into an agreement with you to pay you,
It was just...
what's the basis of why you think you're entitled to it?
Well, I'm going to...
Because there was no agreement.
No.
He didn't say, let Robert work on this app and then we'll compensate him.
No.
Yes.
You're saying, I put him into this free program.
Yeah.
The issue here is, does Mr. Steele have to pay you money because Robert used his creativity and came up with something that
I
potentially
see.
could be monetized?
Well, I think he should have talked to me about it.
He didn't.
Yes, before he allowed the
didn't.
other kids. Yes, and then he came up
He
with...
didn't. The issue here is, does Precocious Gaming owe you any money based on the relationship? And after I've heard the evidence and the testimony before this court, the gavel has to come down in favor of the defendant. There's no agreement. There's no contract. There's no
Yeah,
meeting of the minds.
and this was...
There is no meeting of the minds. You, as the plaintiff, have the burden of convincing Boss Ross that there was some sort of understanding or he entered into a contract with Robert that he wasn't supposed to. None of that took place. What I would suggest you do is go get these things patented and pursue it that way. But based on what you presented here, you can't sustain your burden. Your matter is
Okay.
dismissed. Case closed.
Judge Ross has ruled in favor of the defendant. The plaintiff's case has been denied.
It's unfortunate that we got to this point, but I hope that Robert understands that we were not trying to take advantage of her son.
My case might have been dismissed today. It's all about my son's ability as a computer programmer. So now I got to do a little research on licensing.
Follow America's Court on Facebook and Twitter. This has been a production of Entertainment Studios.